Let's cut the theatrics, 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐿. You've spent years undermining everything we've built, sowing chaos and playing God. Now you're sitting here, claiming you can help us. Why should I believe anything you say?
Because, Manny, you're out of options. Your agents are barely holding the city together. And if you want to survive what's coming, you're going to need someone who knows how the real game is played. Like it or not, I'm the only one who can see the bigger picture.
The bigger picture? You mean the one where you betrayed your own people, weaponized a virus, and left the rest of us to clean up the mess? Forgive me if I'm not eager to take you at your word.
Spare me the moral high ground. You and your division love pretending you're the heroes. But deep down, you know the system was already broken. I just sped up the collapse. And let's be honest, the Cleaners, the Rikers, all those factions, who really let them thrive? You didn't stop them. I controlled them.
And you think that makes you indispensable? You think that excuses everything you've done? You destroyed lives, 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐿. You made this personal for every single agent you betrayed.
You're right. I did. But I also know things your agents don't. I know where the Black Tusk is planning to hit next. I know about their alliances, their supply routes, their experiments. You bring me in and I'll give you that intel. Refuse, and I'll take it to the grave.
And what's your angle, 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐿? What do you want in return for this sudden act of charity?
My freedom. A clean slate. Let's not pretend I'd last a day in one of your cells. I'm not offering you loyalty, Manny. I'm offering you leverage. Use me and I'll make sure the division comes out on top. After that, well, we'll see.
You really think I'd let you walk after everything you've done? That I'd trust you to play nice just because it's convenient?
I don't expect trust. I expect pragmatism. You want results? I deliver. But we both know I'm too valuable to throw away. So, what's it gonna be, Manny? Are you willing to get your hands dirty? Or are you going to let your precious principles get in the way of survival?
You're a manipulative bastard, 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐿. But if there's even a chance you're telling the truth, I can't ignore it. Just know this. If you so much as breathe wrong, I'll personally see to it that you don't get another chance. Do we understand each other?
Crystal clear. Now let's get to work. Time's ticking. And the Black Tusk isn't going to wait for your bureaucracy to catch up.
In the early days of the outbreak, Aaron 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐿 was seen as an embodiment of what the division stood for. He was sharp, resourceful, and committed to the mission of restoring order to a city gripped by chaos. To his peers, he was a natural leader, the type of agent you could count on when everything else was falling apart. But the man who began as a savior of Manhattan would ultimately become its greatest threat. What happened? How did 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐿 fall so far? And what has he done since to deserve or deny our trust? To answer that, we must revisit his trail of betrayals, culminating in one of the most catastrophic acts of bioterrorism in modern history. 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐿's descent began in a crucible of the green poison pandemic, tasked with containing a situation that spiraled further out of control with every passing day. He watched as the division's leadership floundered. Their directives felt less like a plan and more like a death sentence for those on the ground. His anger grew as fellow agents were sent on suicide missions while command sat safely behind their monitors. It wasn't just the system that failed, it was the people who upheld it. When a high-risk operation went sideways, leaving his team stranded and command silent, well, that's when 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐿 reached his breaking point. He walked away, but not empty-handed. 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐿 took division tech, knowledge of their systems, and an unwavering belief that he could do better than the organization he once served. At first, he justified his actions by claiming the division had lost its way. Furthermore, he would later claim that he was only trying to create a better, more efficient solution. to save humanity, but the man who saw himself as a savior became the architect of destruction. 𝐒𝐻 allied himself with Manhattan's most dangerous factions, the Rikers, the Cleaners, and other groups that thrived in the power vacuum left by the collapse of society. He didn't just join them, he led them, becoming a shadow king of the lawless city. His mastery of shade tech allowed him to build a network of rogue agents who shared his disdain for the division. Together, they destabilized every attempt to restore order. Among all of his crimes, one act stands above the rest: the creation and deployment of Eclipse Gas. 𝐒𝐻's experiments with viral weaponry led to the development of a chemical agent designed to be the ultimate tool of destruction, a cloud of crimson death. The gas was engineered to kill indiscriminately, suffocating its victims in seconds. But 𝐒𝐻 didn't stop at designing it. He deployed Eclipse in the heart of Lower Manhattan, unleashing an unthinkable wave of terror. Entire districts became ghost towns, filled with bodies of innocents. 𝐒𝐻 justified this atrocity as a necessary step toward wiping out what he called weaklings of humanity, those who couldn't adapt or survive in a new world he envisioned. It wasn't survival of the fittest, it was survival of those who bowed to him. Even rogue agents under his command weren't spared. 𝐒𝐻 demonstrated the gas's effect by killing dissenters, solidifying his rule through fear and leaving no question as to who held the power. Now, after years of wreaking havoc, 𝐿 stands at a crossroads. Some might argue that his intellect and insight into the division's weaknesses make him an invaluable asset. He's been inside the machine, seen the cracks, and exploited them in ways no one else has. If he were to cooperate, his knowledge could be used to dismantle rogue factions, disable corrupted shade tech, and rebuild the division on stronger foundations. 𝐒𝐻 has always been a pragmatist, and if survival meant cooperation, he might be willing to align for now. But trust is a currency 𝐒𝐻 has spent recklessly. His betrayal of the division wasn't an act of desperation. It was premeditated. His actions have always been about consolidating power, not saving lives. The release of Eclipse Gas wasn't just a strategic move, it was a message. 𝐒𝐻 doesn't see humanity as something to protect. He sees it as something to control or destroy. Even if he were to cooperate now, could anyone believe it wouldn't be part of a larger scheme? Every time 𝐒𝐻 has been given an inch, he's taken a mile. Every alliance he's formed has ended in betrayal. His track record is a map of destruction, with trust as its first casualty. And so we arrive at the critical question: does Manny Ortega allow 𝐿 to pass the vetting process? Trusting 𝐒𝐻 means betting on the idea that a man who poisoned the streets of Manhattan, manipulated his own allies, and turned rogue agents into weapons of war could somehow change his ways. It's a gamble that could either save the division or doom it. 𝐿 may have started as a hero, but the man standing before us now is something else entirely. Whether he can ever be trusted again is not just Manny's decision. It's a question that will define the division itself. The question is, what does the division stand for? Redemption or retribution? Be right out.